Ricky actually, I knew, introduced me to Dr. Campbell, and it wasn't just that you were going like, man, this is just a sharp guy. Like, it was like, you could tell he's had an impact in your life. Can you just share a little bit about your journey with him?
Yeah. Dr. Campbell was like loosely in my life. First, whenever I met Baze Gordon Mitchell, we went to Darton College together, and I was a part of a military organization on campus, and we had a guy that came in, and he was an atheist, and it was really the second time that I really engaged with someone face-to-face that didn't believe Christianity and actually was using the new atheist lines of argument. And I've never, experienced that being in a Christian household. I guess the internet was still becoming a thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't just AOL and getting in chats. It's now you're getting YouTube, you're getting Facebook, you're getting social media. And I started getting exposed to all of that. And I was like, I'm not equipped whatsoever. And Baze was like, he was able to spit some things out. And I was like, where'd you learn all this? He was like, I did take a course from Dr. Campbell, and he gave me his thesis book. Fast forward, I did my own exploration, went to Biola, got my degree. And
another great school.
Yeah, Biola University, Christian University. So I get my applied psychology degree and a minor in biblical studies. And I remember in the Foundations of Christian Thought class, we went through some philosophy and some logic. And I remember what Dr. Campbell taught Baze when Baze was like maybe in middle school. And I was like, well, why didn't I get that when I was in middle school? And then Nathan Bolt comes around, fast forward again. And then I noticed, okay, he's an elder. And then during that time, he's creating these sermon audios about worldviews. And he went through the process with Nathan Bolt and a few others in discussion, and you went down into things that I was yearning for but didn't know that I wanted. Yeah. Getting into the philosophical history of thought, to get down into the weeds of what is truth, or how do you know what you know, and actually providing a framework to build upon, like foundationalism. The most significant aspect to your teaching, for instance, whenever you say, is there such a thing as truth? If there is a truth, then your brain has to be able to interpret it correctly.
Right.
How can you trust your brain? Presuppose that your brain come from random chance. If your brain came from random chance, not purpose, how do you know that it actually is grasping truth? That you can trust what your brain is actually telling you.
Yeah.
But then let's say now, presuppose your brain came from an intelligent being. Then that presupposition can hold up. It doesn't cut itself out. My brain came from a purpose-guided, intelligent God being. It just makes sense to me.
That's a good, just even testimony to how being desirous of just growing in your faith and the way you described, so you can more boldly interact with people.
Well, boldly interact, but also whenever I have the feelings of doubt.
That's good.
Intellectually, I can remember this argument to be like, it's actually more reasonable to believe God exists. And then I can, from that springboard, go back up again.
That's good.
When my emotions are all out of whack. I don't know how it is for you, Dr. Campbell.
When I was going through my own crisis of faith, that was one of the arguments that sort of held things together, because one of the things that I looked for were these atheistic writers that would present an answer to that argument. I had a student one time who was an atheist, and I took him through this argument. If your brain is the product of chance, why do you trust it?
Yeah.
And a few days later, he goes, I have an answer to your argument. And he took me to the board, and he walked me through a very detailed explanation, telling me the evolutionary story of how our brains could have evolved through random chance, genetic drift, all of that. And I said, that's really impressive. I said, I'm going to have to think about your argument, so just give me some days to think about it, but I do have a question for you. I said, don't you think it's interesting that you're trying to argue that your brain came through chance, through a rational argument? You're trying to give me a rational argument to prove to me that your brain came from non-reason, non-rational, really anti-rational forces. This guy's a Christian now. I was really happy he converted, because I didn't have to work through that very detailed line of reasoning he gave me.